So you are sitting in your current house, you're looking at the market and you're wondering, what should I do with it? I don't really love it anymore. I want to maybe move, but should I list it for sale or should I potentially lease it out for sale? We're going to go over what that looks like and define the two options that you have. Glynn, how would you define leasing?
Well, leasing is basically we're renting your property. We take care of all the problems, any of the communication with tenant. We find you tenants, any communications with the tenants. We basically take the stress out of renting property. We make it so that they have no idea who you are, and that way we're the sole point of contact, and that way you don't have to deal with that.
And that's much better than somebody trying to DIY leasing on their own. How many of your clients would you say tried it themselves first and then gave you a call later?
I'd say probably 30%.
Okay.
They tried it. They ended up getting a bad tenant, whether they didn't do a good background check.
Mm-hmm.
They found out this is not for me, and they hire us to come in and be the kind of the new sheriff in town. Either get rid of the tenant because they're a bad tenant, not paying rent, or manage the property from here on out. So it's there's a high percentage of people there.
Is that a hard process to overcome versus coming straight to you in the first place, or is it something that you guys can usually?
No, with us, there's already a contract in place. So
you're just taking it over.
We're taking it over. We just do a lease addendum saying we're the new property person now, or property management company. The owner's not accepting money anymore, so you pay us, and any communication comes through us now. So it's a pretty simple process.
Do you ever realize that they might have been charging the wrong amount of rent to make it cash
every
flow?
Time. Every time.
How far off are they? About like $50, a couple $100?
Some of them are $50, but there's a few of them $200-$300. Wow. I mean, they're way off.
Okay.
So usually those are the ones that they realize, hey, we're undercharging. We need to get rid of this tenant. And now, of course, we have to do it legally.
Yes.
But once we get the tenant out, then we can ask for that higher rate.
No, that's a good deal. So then that versus obviously DIY, we don't necessarily want to condone doing DIY, leasing it out yourself. What are some of the pitfalls that sellers get into when they do their own property management? Like top two things that they mess up when they do it themselves?
Not get a good tenant.
Okay.
And basically the poor communication with the tenant. They lose track. They start fighting with each other, and it ends up being a bad thing.
And would you say Texas is more tenant friendly or landlord friendly?
It's getting to be more landlord friendly.
Okay.
The laws are changing now, but it's still a pain doing an eviction. It still costs you a month or two.
Yep.
Going through the court system.
So most people, when they come to me, they say they don't really want to lease out the house, or they want to do it themselves because they don't want to pay for a property manager. And then they do that and they end up losing more money in the long run because they don't charge enough that they need to charge enough for. And they also may not get paid. They may have someone squatting in their house. They can't evict them. So it ends up becoming a nightmare.
Property value. I mean, we try to help assure the property value stays up too. So we do periodic inspections to go in and make sure the people are taking care of the property.
Yes. And in a legal way, and in a way that they're aware that that's going to happen.
Yes.
Okay. And then versus leasing or listing it out, if we were going to list the property, that's usually that comes into my wheelhouse. And a lot of times they may talk to me first before they talk to you. Is that fair?
Yeah, the reason we're on this podcast is because we're good partners with each other.
Yes.
And if I get have an owner that, okay, I'm tired of the rental market and I want to go sell the house, I can flip that over to you.
Right.
And vice versa. We've been partners for 7 years now.
Maybe 8.
We work real well together as far as what owners want as far as selling the property. And then if they're wanting to know about property management, then you kick them over to me and then I take care of them. So,
well, and that's really important to me because I've owned 8 homes in my entire personal life, but I don't have any of them still. I've sold every single one because the realtor at the time always told me to sell it. We were military. We were moving from town to town, buying with our VA loan, zero money down, building equity as we went. And every time we had to make a move, which was 9 to 11 months into the process, which is not enough to get equity back anyways. Right. We were just lucky the market was increasing every time we sold. And if they would have advised me to hold on to that property and either refinance or get my VA entitlement back and move to the next home like we were doing, it was that I would have a whole portfolio right now.
You would look at it like a 401k.
Yes.
Where you got the mortgage getting paid by the tenant.
100%.
And then you take over any other expenses.
Always by a military base, so we were always going to have tenants there. There's always going to be someone coming that needed a place to move.
There's always going to be a tenant there.
And if I had a problem with them, I could go to their leadership if they were trashing my house too. So I had a little bit more quality of tenant. And when I got into real estate 8 years ago now, it was such a huge aha, and also just a lot of time missed because that was a 10-year period we were buying and selling houses. Yep. And to this day, we always bought the most expensive house, right, on the block. We wanted the nicest, best one, and we just were never guided. So that's something that we take into place when we work with our clients now is we are working with clients and letting them know, do you want the most expensive house that may not appreciate the fastest, or one that if you are in a tight spot, you can't put a tenant in place because maybe it's got a pool or maybe it's really big, or there's certain criteria to what makes a really good buy box, right? How would you define what a buy box is for investors?
Well, for us, it's like a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, probably 1,500 square feet house, typically no pools.
Mm-hmm. Why is that?
The liabilities. Yes. You don't want to take that liability.
Yep.
We have, it's pretty cut and dry.
Why 1,500 square foot versus 3,000 square foot?
You're really looking for single-family homeowners, new. This is our first home.
Yep. But even replacement costs if you have to turn the house over, right? Yeah. Every square foot costs you money. So if you have a bigger house to turn over, but the rent's relatively close.
It's harder to turn a bigger house.
Yes.
It's more expensive. You got more of a narrower tenant pool.
Yes. When life hits hard, late payments, medical bills, job loss, or even the need to move quickly, many homeowners feel trapped. The fastest way out seems to be selling to a cash investor, but that means giving your home away for pennies on the dollar. You don't have to do that. Nearly half of homeowners today are equity rich, and that value belongs to you. With our One Move program, you can unlock that equity immediately, get cash in hand now, and still share in the upside when your home resells. Or, if you'd rather, we'll shop your property to multiple cash buyers so you can choose the best offer instead of settling for one low bid. Go to donedealoffers.com and discover the smarter way to get cash fast without losing the equity you've worked so hard to build.
To those who take the risk, who bet their life savings, their blood, sweat, and tears on a rental property to make a nice place for someone to live and a nice living for themselves. To those who get this call or no call at all. To those who keep adding more properties, it will all be worth it for you and for them. You care about preserving your investments. So do we. Real Property Management.
So the point of this show is to start breaking down scenarios, figure out what works for certain demographics of purchasing, selling, where people are in their life, because sometimes leasing doesn't always make sense.
Oh, absolutely.
Listing doesn't always. Sometimes the market right now, the market's down. If you bought in the last 2 years and you're trying to sell your house, you're probably going to be at a loss right now.
What we're finding out with the rental market is it's not just state guideline or boundaries. It's almost down to the neighborhood.
Yes.
That some neighborhoods we have 20 houses listed for rental, and just the neighborhood a mile down the street, there's one.
Yep.
So that one is sitting high on, they're going to get maximum dollar for
'Cause
the
it's
dollar
supply
per
and
square
demand.
foot. It's supply and demand.
Same concept. Same thing with selling your house as well. So a lot of times when we sit down with a seller, we will show them what it could rent for, and we get help from you as well. We'll say,
Oh,
hey,
absolutely.
can you run us some rental numbers? What does it look like in this market? And depending on how much equity they have in the house, what's a good rule of thumb for equity for somebody percentage wise?
You could probably answer that better than me. Probably 20%, maybe.
I would say almost 30% these
Yeah.
days, only because we've seen insurance go up so high. We've seen property taxes go up higher. So it's eating into their profits.
Trying to get out of that PMI.
Yes, and that as well, 100%. So we see that, and if they've got that kind of equity and they don't necessarily need to use all of it to get into the next property, then we have the conversation of what if we got you our partnership with Glynn and get it leased out and turn this into just a cash flow for you,
Right.
and then you still have enough financial, like the health of your financial status makes sense to also go buy at the same time.
It depends on every family.
Yes.
Is this an intentional investor? Is it a single family homeowner? Are you moving a aging parent into assisted living?
Yep.
I mean, every situation, it changes the criteria.
Yes.
So, but what we're talking about now is somebody living in their house, and what do I do?
What do I do?
Yeah.
And it
We'll
always,
talk about the others.
yeah,
later.
we'll talk about all the other. But it does. It comes down to your kitchen table and your options at your kitchen table.
Yes.
And I think that's something we bring and present each time. But the point of this podcast is to get a little bit more awareness of when should you have the conversation? What are the key indicators we're looking for? And then how do we tailor it to them specifically and their goals? Because everyone has different goals.
Don't just jump in and go do something. Make sure you talk to the professionals, and make sure that you call Savannah or you call me.
Yes.
And find out what are my options.
How long should someone anticipate renting a property if they are going to consider it a rental? Like, is there a timeline? Like, if you're only going to do this for 2 years, maybe it doesn't make sense. Is there any rule of thumb?
We typically sign 1-year leases. We've signed up to a 5-year lease. That was for a family that wanted to all the 3 of their kids go through the same high school, and it's across the street from the high school. So they did a 5-year lease. But most of the time we sign 1-year leases. We're getting more and more 2- and 3-year leases. But for the most part, we do a 1 year and then we renew. And I would say probably 80% of our tenants, they renew for a second year, and then they'll do a third year after that. But they don't want that commitment. They want to be able to bail if they have to.
And what about a landlord? Should they be holding a property at least 5 years or 2 years or 10 years?
It really depends on the property and all what's your equity, what's your mortgage, what's the interest rate, what's your insurance. You're basically looking at all the different factors that go into the equation as far as what's better for you. And we both companies have a software program. Ours is called Wealth Optimizer, and you plug in all those things, and you can do a rent versus sell comparison.
Yep.
And it helps direct you on how you want to pursue that.
Yes. Because it really comes down to your goal. Are you going to be around? Are you leaving town? What are you doing? I think for long-term wealth, I think buy and hold is the answer.
Yes.
I think for building the opportunity to do that, you have to go buy the first one, maybe live in it yourself for a little bit, house hack it, stay in at least 2 years. Probably 5 is better, 10's the best. But if you're trying to move a couple of properties at a time, it makes sense to do that and then leverage the other partners we have. Like we've got mortgage partners and title partners and all those people to then figure out how to build your wealth through real estate. And it's not just one way or the other. It can be either way.
Oh, yeah. And you got some people, they buy and flip. They buy and hold, like what we're doing. There's all different kinds of stuff. And one thing you got to take into consideration when you're buying a property, what is that HOA? You better look at the covenants, because some HOAs require you to live there for a year, 2 years. Yep. They require you, if you do a lease, it can only be 1 year.
Or they may
a
have a
minimum
cap
of 1 year.
on how many houses in the neighborhood could be rented.
They may have a 20%, 30% cap of rentals in a neighborhood, so you got to watch that.
And the crazy part is you don't typically see those covenants until after you've gone under contract and you've gone through inspections. And about week 3, you're going to find out. So sometimes
I actually had a lady call me, and I'd been working with her for probably over a year. And she finally called me up. Okay, I bought my house. And she bought the house. I told her, make sure you look at the covenants. She went and looked at the covenants. She had to be there for, I think it was 2 years. She had to live in the house. She goes, I don't want to live in this house. I bought it for an investment. So she had to flip that.
Oh, and you don't always get that back when you do that.
No.
Not your investments. So a lot of times a real estate agent can help you pull that information, a great title company can pull that information, and you can find out at least during your option period, which is your inspection time. But you have to at least tell your realtor
You
that's
better
what
ask
you're
the
doing.
questions.
Because if we don't know, and a lot of people want to lie, right? They want to say, oh, I'm buying this so I can get a personal loan and not an investor loan. And then they turn it into it. That's called mortgage fraud. Don't do that. But sometimes we cannot control what everybody wants to do. So, but yeah, I think that's a good way to talk about is we don't make the decision in a vacuum. You want to use multiple resources to make sure you're making the right decision, because there are parts of the process that if you're not aware of it, it can really bite you later.
Yes.